If you memorize only one verse in Scripture, may it be this one. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God? Micah 6, verse 8 neatly sums up both the Jewish and Christian religions. Do justice. The Hebrew is mishpat, which seeks equity for the most vulnerable. Love kindness, sometimes translated as love mercy. These are both true, and yet the meaning is beyond both of these. The Hebrew is hesed, which isn't captured in a single English word, but is a loving kindness, a deep compassion rooted in God's bond with humanity. And walk humbly, sanah, a rare word used only twice in Hebrew scripture. It has the connotation of willingness, of being ready, of faithfully putting one step in front of the other. Micah 6, verse 8 often stands alone on its own. We don't always read what comes before. It's a hard read. It includes strange names and references child sacrifice. It's tempting to skip over it and just get to the beautiful statement of justice we can all get behind. But let's look at it, because in the 7 verses preceding Micah 6, verse 8, we are presented with a heartbroken God and a heartbroken people. We are let in on a dialogue between God and their beloved children. A conversation prompted by both God and people who are weary of violence and weary of unjust systems controlled by leaders who have lost their way. God expresses heartbrokenness, not only from the violence and injustice of humanity, but also laments a rift in their relationship with them. God is grieved that religion itself has gotten in the way of the relationship between God and humanity instead of guiding it. God references the places where God has rescued them and says, "Have you been paying attention to how I've had your back all this time?" And the people respond, "What do you want from us?" Hyperbolic offers showing just how much they don't grasp the purpose of religion. Shall we bow down, bringing thousands of rams? 10,000 rivers of oil shall I give my firstborn for my sin? God shakes God's head. You've been told, O mortal, what is good. God has told you, meaning this is not new information. The prophet Hosea, which Micah's audience would know, in 12 verse 6 said, "But as for you, return to your God, hold fast to love and justice, and wait continually for your God." The prophet Micah, who is relaying this dialogue, is a farmer. The people of his agrarian village just want to do their work, go about their day. But their tools have been seized to make weapons of war, and the elite have seized their fields. The farmers are being exploited. People were using religion to exploit others. The rich stole from the poor and then gave to the house of worship out of that stolen money to better themselves. How generous. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "Religion is for God's sake. The human side of religion, its creeds, rituals, and institutions, is a way rather than the goal. The goal is to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. When the human side of religion becomes the goal, injustice becomes a way." There is a brand of Christianity that subverts Micah 6, verse 8, where the human side of religion becomes the goal. This is known as Christian nationalism. I just finished reading Separation of Church and Hate, A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalists, Fascists, and Flock-Fleecing Frauds. This book is written not by a scholar, but by John Fugelsang, a stand-up comic. And he wrote it to give tools to people who want to engage in conversation with fundamentalists and Christian nationalists. Fundamentalism is the belief that the Bible is without error and is to be taken literally. Christian nationalists are fundamentalists who believe that our country was intended to be and should be a Christian nation, apparently at any cost. In particular, Fugelsang suggests how to use scripture in conversation with these folks, to speak their language to dialogue. And one question that can be especially helpful is when asking about why someone has an exclusionary view is the question, so what from Jesus' life and ministry teaches you that? Because you can't find words from Jesus that support the MAGA talking points. Certainly not abduction and deportation of immigrants or the harassment of protesters. You can find plenty of Jesus' words about being compassionate to strangers and welcoming to refugees. Christian nationalists use religion to exploit others. Claiming the name Christian is not the same as being a follower of Christ. There are Christians who do not follow the teachings of Jesus. I also know folks, some in this church, who don't call themselves Christians, but they absolutely follow the teachings of Christ. When we follow the radical way of love and compassion, that is what is important. Call yourself whatever you want. Fugelsang explains it this way. Christian nationalists have always wielded faith as a tool of control and exclusion, prioritizing power and cultural preference over the words of Jesus. But Christ followers have always resisted those abuses and aligned themselves with the call to justice, mercy, and love. Christian nationalists have always sought cultural dominance through legislation and suppression of dissent, but the Christ followers have always stood against oppression, embodying Jesus' teachings of justice and compassion. Immigrants in our country are being exploited. Arrests and abductions are based not on individual circumstances, but to meet quotas of hatred. They are the casualties of a system and leaders greedy for power. People of faith have reimagined Micah 6 verse 8 for protest signs in solidarity with Minneapolis. Do justice, love kindness, abolish ICE, Minneapolis 6 verse 8. Scripture is alive and ever speaking, which makes reimagining not only permissible, but necessary. Dismantling our nation's current immigration and customs enforcement is the call to justice right now. Micah addressed a heartbroken people. We are heartbroken. We are heartbroken for the people of Minneapolis, for children who are traumatized, afraid to go to school, for those who weep for the dead. We mourn the executions of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, protectors of neighbors. We mourn those who have died in ICE detention centers. In January 2026, here are their names: Luis Gustavo Nunez Cáceres, Geraldo Lunas Campos, Victor Manuel Diaz, Parady La, Heber Sanchez Dominguez. No smartphones captured their fates. What did Micah say to those heartbroken people? He called them back to their center, their purpose, the core of their faith. Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly. We are called back to our center, our purpose, the core of our faith. We see it in Minneapolis. For those who stand day after day on freezing street corners as witness, blowing their whistles. Short bursts to alert the community that ICE agents are in the area. Long signals like unrelenting cries when witnessing an abduction. I see it in my clergy colleagues who answered the call to go to Minneapolis, to be there in the flesh. I see it in you as you write your representatives to say no more funding to ICE. I see it in you as you attend rallies and make your voices heard, and as you pray. Because there is a role for each one in resistance. You might not be able to go to a rally, but anybody can pray. Anybody can find a way to love their neighbors. We all have a call to bring more light into this world. What is do justice, love kindness, abolish ICE for you? What is the call on your heart? Maybe it's wearing a whistle around your neck to be ready for what may be coming. I've been praying intentionally for my colleagues who are called to direct action and nonviolent civil disobedience. I take seriously the role of holding them in prayer. When I say I'll pray for you, it is not hollow. My whole being is praying for them. Your call might be to dialogue with Christian nationalists who support what our country is doing to people. Not necessarily to change them, but to see each other's humanity, to seek mutual understanding, to find something you can agree on, and to witness to Christ's teachings. We've been told what is good, what the Lord requires of us. Do justice, love kindness, and to walk with willingness to keep putting one foot in front of the other in faith. And yes, to abolish ICE.